Alrighty then, happy campers. Welcome back to the Campy Camperton show. A little hungover this morning, but that's all right. We'll get through this. So let's talk about some plumbing. So I had ordered these sinks, these little bar sinks here, and these little cheap little faucet deals. I wish I had actually thought about it a little bit more and got something that was all metal instead of, these have plastic. These have plastic fittings. So that kind of sucks, but anyways, and then we got the bar sink drain. We bought, let's see if I can, okay, so we bought a 2-inch to 3/4 hose adapter because I thought, I really want to just use hose for everything. I don't want to be doing any kind of hard pipe or PEX. So we got this, and turns out this is actually like 1.5, so I got a 1.5 to 2 adapter, and of course that's where we're kind of leaky. I've done the drain test already, so I need to put some plumber sealer in there, but this goes right into my 3/4 hose from the drain. So boom, that plugs right in to the bottom there, and then all the drains come over to this T. So we got one from this sink here, and then it goes down to the T, and then one from this sink, and then the T comes down and curves, comes out to this little, there's another hose fitting right here, and then this is just a little hose valve. So we can turn this on, and we can just drain right into a bucket, just like we're doing right now. So that's the way I want it. I want it simple. I don't want a gray tank. When this bucket fills up, we can throw it in the bushes, we can throw it in a toilet, we can throw it wherever's appropriate. And I know some people might go, oh my gosh, but you know what? Whatever. It's just soapy water. It's not like it's a biochemical hazard or something. So anyways, that takes care of the drain side. And as far as the pressure side, I wanted again to use just some kind of hose. And in looking around, I was thinking about these PEX fittings, and these PEX fittings fit really good over these hoses, which is this, had a couple spools of this boat and camper, never kink, whatever, boat and RV, freshwater safe, drinking water safe. So I had 2 of these, and the fact is, these suck. I mean, these fittings, they always leak. Just for quote boat and RV, they're just cheap. So I says, you know what, cut off the fittings and I'll do my own. So all these have actual brass to push in, and then we got some hose clamps. That was before I realized the PEX thing, that the 3/4 PEX, which I didn't know existed, the 3/4 PEX rings fit there nice and loose and are pretty much perfect for that. The 1/2-inch ones, the Chinese ones that came with the kit here, I bought the PEX crimp kit. I didn't realize there's 2 different kinds of PEX crimp kits. I have one here. This is made for the copper ring style. So I could have just bought a bunch of copper rings and used that, but I was curious about these. So the shark bite ones are a little too tight. It's hard to get around the hose. It's a little bit too much. But the Chinese ones that came with the kit, this crimp kit, they work perfect. And it came with this is on Amazon. This came with a cutting tool and some kind of gauge, which I'll probably never care about. But this works actually a little too good. Crimps it maybe a little too tight, but to me, it's pretty much perfect. So what I decided to do for the freshwater side is we got our tank mounted up again. Give you a shot of that, maybe. Hopefully. So we got our tank, and we got our fill hose, and we got our breather hose that'll eventually go to the cap. So water goes down in the tank, and then we got our line coming up, and we also have a drain down there. We'll talk about the drain in a minute. But the fill, or the low pressure pump side, comes up and around, goes into the sink. And originally I was trying to mount the pump somewhere in this area, but I thought, you know, if the pump has a problem, if it leaks, explodes or whatever, hopefully the water damage will be contained into here and will flood out, come out the door, and I won't have a crap ton of water damage anywhere but just right in here. And speaking of that, I decided to try something I always wanted to try, which was motor oil on wood. So that actually works pretty good. I'm not going to say it's fantastic, but we had a test piece we tried out here, and I liked what I saw, and it does waterproof it pretty well, because you know, it's oil, so the oil soaks into the wood, and it does repel water. When we did our testing, water pressure testing and leak testing, we did get some water in here, and the droplets just remained on the surface. We didn't get penetration into the wood. So it works, but it's just not the prettiest. It's kind of dark and old-fashioned kind of thing. So we experimented, we tried it in here and tried it in there. I don't think we're going to continue that though. I think the other cabinets, I think we're probably going to paint on the inside. But anyways, okay, so the cold water, the water supply comes into our, we have a screen, goes through that, 90. These are p17 fittings too, which is, they're pretty heavy duty. And we got brass connectors, brass connector, and then the p17. So I wanted everything to be brass. I didn't want any plastic. The only plastic fitting I have is on the low pressure side, the vacuum side. But everything on the high pressure side after the pump is all, we got a brass tee over there. And you can see some of those, PEX crimp fittings, like on that swivel there, swivel here, that swivel there. So using all the PEX fittings and all that worked out really good. If you use, so this is 1/2-inch hose, and that's the inside diameter. And if you use 1/2-inch barbs and then try to get the PEX rings up in there, it's really tight, a little too tight. But if you use the p17s, which I have somewhere, the p17s are not barbed. They have these little ribs. They're ribbed for your pleasure, not for hers. So yeah, we got that going on for us. So they're ribbed for your pleasure because they, see, there's a barbed. So the barbed ones, when you use these and you try to go into the hose and get the PEX fitting on there, it's just way too tight, doesn't want to work. So we got some barbed ones, some PEX ones, and these work perfect. So the PEX tees with the PEX clamps, and the PEX swivels, and this PEX swivel 90s, all that has worked out just perfect. And crimping everything has been perfect. When I did realize I could do the 3/4 on the hose there, on the 3/4, so that's a 3/4 barb fitting with the hose, and that was still a little loose, but this is the drain side, so it's not a big deal. So the 3/4, a little bit of tape is what I wrapped around the ones underneath to snug it up. And then let me see, that works really good. And what was the other? Oh, I forget. Oh yeah, the drain side. So when we want to drain out the tank, because you don't want to travel with a full tank, you want to be empty when you travel. So for that, I bought some valves right here. And I'll say this right now, don't buy these. They suck. They look pretty. Nice, simple, just, you know, 1/4 turn, 1/2-inch hose, barb valves. But the problem is they leak. I've already, let's see if we can get you a shot. there's my drain valve right there. So there's my drain valve right there. The first one leaked, and so does this one. And I really don't feel like cutting this one off and replacing it with a third one. This is probably not going to work either. So I think I'm going to do is I'm going to put the actual camper style one and I'm just going to float it on the end of the hose, and that'll be good enough. That's what I think I'm going to do. So, bear with me. So what I'm talking about is one of these, which I didn't want to use because they don't really, they're not, well, they're cheap for one, and they're not very friendly on telling you which direction is which. They close in pretty much any position except for there's one spot where it'll drain. So sometimes you got to kind of fiddle with it to find the right spot to drain. I didn't really want to use this, but what I'm going to do is probably just shove it into the end of the hose, put a clamp on it, and now I've got two valves. So I'm going to have to remember to open up this one and the other one. I don't know if I really want to do that, but I don't want to go through the trouble of pulling that other one out again. And if I do pull it out, I'm still going to probably have to put this one on there. So maybe I should just slap it on the end of the other one. But other than that, we glued it on the countertop, cut it out. And we did this stuff, and I'm still debating on this because this is pretty heavy for what it is. You know, this press and stick flooring stuff, it's pretty heavy. That stuff on that countertop came in a roll, and it was a lot lighter, so I might do that. You know, at this point we're too heavy. I got too much plywood in this thing, so I really need to go foam from here up. From here up I'm going to do all foam, and do it the foamy way with the screen and the glue and the paint. So yeah, that's the plan. So I think that's it on the plumbing. But I'm not going to put the sinks in until I've got all this built, because I don't want the faucet sticking up and being in the way all the time. So the sinks are going to stay out until it's all pretty much done. So that's the update for today. Thanks for watching.